Are you ready to talk about football? Oh yeah! Yeah, right. Football's a waste. Why do people care about football? Boring! Let's be intelligent. Let's be high intellectually. Let's talk about hair loss. Hair loss is superior to football. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about this. When you are a male, there's more judgment on your hairline than if you're a female. It's interesting to think about that. Here's what I believe. I believe females don't judge men on their hair loss. I believe men judge men on their hair loss. Women are judging us from a completely different set of rules, and the fact that men aren't in tune with what those rules are part of the reason why we're not attractive to them, and it's not actually about our hair. And I've made many videos about that. But what I think, as men, we tend to judge each other. Those of us who are experiencing hair loss, we tend to judge a man based on his hairline. If he can be Norwood 2 or better, then that makes him better of a man in some kind of way. But it's funny because by default, men keep their hair shorter than women, obviously, for the most part. And so therefore, if you have shorter hair, it's going to expose your hairline more, because that's the masculine thing to do. I mean, I get it, man buns and all that. I mean, some guys can get away with long hair, and that's fine, no problem, not putting that down at all. But typically most men are going to have shorter hair as compared to women. No one's going to argue that that's the norm, right? With that being said, imagine a world where women had such pressure on their hairlines as men do. Even if it was just in the female community. Because like I said, this whole putting pressure on men about their hairlines, that's something men do to each other. Women are judging us completely different, and the ones of us who have figured out what they're actually judging us on, we win, while the other guys who freak out about their hair instead are the ones who lose. That's how the system actually works. But what if women were judged on their hairlines? You know, it's funny because I've kind of just for the sake of like this video, kind of been paying attention to that. It's funny, women's hairlines are kind of all over the place. I've seen women with basically kind of Norwood 3 hairlines, even if they're in their 20s. I've seen it. But they got long hair, so you don't think about that. Maybe she's got a taller forehead, but hey, that's a whole other thing too. People have different size foreheads. I've got a tall forehead. I always have since I've been an adult, and that's normal. But it is interesting to think about. Women aren't judged on their hairlines. It's one thing if they're experiencing, female hair loss. That's a completely different thing, and that's a tragic thing for women. Women are judged on all these things on their physical beauty, and it's such a burden. But something they're not specifically typically judged on is their hairline, because their hair's longer, and it's more about having a taller forehead than anything. I've heard this rule that if your forehead is higher than 4 fingers, then that's a girl who would have bangs or whatever. Oh, so what? The girl has bangs. We're not thinking of it in the same way as if a guy is starting to lose his hair and then he just, has a hair style simply based on covering up that hairline, which in theory, kind of I do, because the middle patch is cut a little bit shorter so that it has more of a straight across look. So anyway, I just wanted to make a video acknowledging that. Women aren't judged on their hairlines the way men are, but even then, I want to be the first to acknowledge men are judging men on hairlines. Women are judging us by a completely different set of rules. Those of us men who understand that win. Those who don't and refuse to only focus on hairlines and think that women judge us by that continue to lose. It's either or. Get on the boat or stay off the boat. I'm on a boat.